Education. Thank you so much for being with us again today.
Thank you for having me.
You know, my mom didn't tell us much about menopause coming, but I got to tell this story. I'll never forget it. I'm a teenager, right? And I wake up to this, and my mother's running down the hallway, and she goes, I got to get some cotton gowns. I cannot sleep in nylon. And I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? That was menopause and the hot flashes, but she never really talked about it, you know?
And you tell an amusing story, and
Uh
it's
huh.
funny, but what we're starting to realize is that those symptoms have real cardiovascular
Ooh.
implications. So these hot flushes, we know that the duration of hot flushes, the intensity of hot flushes actually has a link to cardiovascular or heart disease. And Black women tend to have longer durations and greater intensity. And so that risk is further increased. We also know that during menopause, your estrogen levels decrease.
Wow.
And heart disease is now being recognized as an inflammatory disease. Inflammatory processes in the body contribute to that atherosclerosis, or that hardening of the arteries. And estrogen has anti inflammatory properties. So we have to begin to look at what are these symptoms in menopause, and women need to be able to feel better, but also be healthier. And make no mistake, there's nothing wrong with just feeling better as well,
Mm-hmm.
feeling your best self and being able to put your best self forward. The other thing to
Uh
think
huh.
about is sleeplessness that
Yes.
comes with menopause,
Uh huh.
insomnia. We also know that decreased duration of sleep is also connected with heart disease. So we've got to be able to take these symptoms seriously. They're not ha ha, because there
Mm-hmm.
is a link to heart disease, and women need to be able to feel better and to be able to also have a decreased risk of heart disease as we continue to age.
Of course, I'm not a doctor. I don't know that that is the reason why, but my mother did eventually develop heart disease. And it did
Mhm.
last longer, a long time. As a matter of fact, I remember her saying, I don't think this will ever go away. It lasted for years and years. And she's 92, and she says, let me tell you something. She said, you're going to have them in your 60s and 70s. You're going to still have them. Do we know why at all? Is it a lifestyle? Is it culture? Why do Black women suffer more?
And so you are hitting on such a great point. There is not research being done, not only in menopause, but specifically in minority populations like Blacks and Black women at all. We don't see us participating and being represented in clinical trials. So we really don't have data. Our earlier data from the Women's Health Initiative, we now know was faulty, and that included thousands of women. And that was one of the reasons why estrogen was withdrawn as a therapy for menopause, because of the faulty results of that particular trial. But we actually know
Wow.
now, when we take a look at the subgroup analysis of Black women in that trial, many of whom had had hysterectomies, because Black women tend to have more surgeries and more hysterectomies for a myriad of other reasons leading to maternal mortality. But those women did not have hysterectomies, and the estrogen given to those women actually decreased their risk of breast cancer. So we're taking another look at all of this, but we have to be represented in clinical trials such that we have accurate information that is relevant for all populations. Menopausal women are also a group of vulnerable demographic that is not represented in clinical trials, and we just have a dearth of information.
Wow, it sounds like, in conclusion, before we go, we need to get with a doctor who understands and is willing to answer some questions. You have said much more than I've heard in a lifetime. Thank you so much for coming with us and being with us.
You're welcome. Have me back again. Happy
I
to discuss.
will. I will. There's so much more to talk about. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.